you'd be hard-pressed to find a bigger Freaky Friday fan than me, I think.
It's true, but I don't think anyone else was running for that position of number one Freaky Friday fan.
Yes, weird flex, I know, but, facts are facts. I love the body switch trope.
And why that is, I do not know.
I love Lindsay Lohan and Jamie Lee Curtis in so many things. And I've made it my business to get my hands on every version of Freaky Friday there ever was. So, I might have an opinion or two on the franchise, not to mention the new Freakier Friday Legacy sequel. I know a lot of people have mixed opinions on the sequel, existing in the first place. Many people are just happy to see Lindsay and Jamie together again, not to mention so much of the original cast with them, while a lot of other people are upset and say it's unnecessary, and will overshadow the original.
I mean, that's what remakes and sequels do.
It's a conflict I had with movie 2, honestly. And after grappling with that question for a while, if I'm happy it exists or if it's unnecessary, I think I came up with an answer.
Seems obvious to me, but looks like we're making a whole video on it anyway.
There's a lot we can play with here. There's so much rich lore to all this that we can really sink our teeth into. Let's first look at the history of Freaky Friday, because there's probably even more to it than you know. A lot of you may not know that Freaky Friday was originally a book back in 1972. I actually have an original copy.
And I'm sure that's in high demand. Did you have to kill anybody for it?
It's one of my better finds from a used bookstore. And for only $1.
Yeah, that tracks.
The book was by a really cool woman named Mary Rodgers, daughter of the legendary composer Richard Rodgers, who was known for a lot of musical theater. He's probably most known for his famous work on The Sound of Music. But don't get it twisted, Mary Rodgers wasn't just some famous Nepo baby. She had her own history in Broadway. She wrote Once Upon a Mattress, which is a musical based on the fairy tale The Princess and the Pea. Later, she wrote the Freaky Friday novel, and, as it turns out, she also wrote 2 other novels about the Andrews family, Billions for Boris, and The Summer Switch, which featured a TV that could tell the future, and another body switch story, this time though between the dad and the son.
And Freaky Friday, you invented a whole genre, which is we change places and then we try to get back.
And I'll tell you another little secret, which is I didn't invent that. Thorne Smith did, and you probably don't know who Thorne Smith is. He wrote a book called Turnabout that I read when I was in bed with a cold when I was a teenager. And it was about a girl, a husband and wife, who changed bodies. And the man was furious because he was a woman and pregnant, which he did not envision for himself. And I remember thinking, that's really funny. So I can't take complete credit for it.
After the book's huge success, Disney took notice and created the 1976 movie featuring a young Jodie Foster, with a screenplay also by Mary Rodgers. As a writer who loves movies...
Yes, the writer's speech, because all of your videos must include how you are a writer, or an artist, at least one time each, so you can hit your quota.
I have no idea how she pulled that off. It's rare to see the book author also get to write the screenplay, but I guess her Broadway background may have helped her with that media jump. Either way, I'm impressed. And it really shows that she wrote it. So much of the novel's lifted straight off the page and reworked into the movie, but with a few changes. In the book, the mother had caused the body switch herself to teach Annabelle a lesson.
Wait, how did she do that? Is she a witch like you?
They actually never explained how in the book. It just sort of accepted it, that she did it. Which I actually think makes it funnier. Also, Eli, I'm all for letting you talk, but can you do it without cutting me off?
Yeah, sure. Wouldn't want to interrupt the very important video topic.
So anyway, we don't ever see Annabelle in her mother's body. In the movie, though, it was a complete accident, and we see both mother and daughter suffering through the chaotic consequences of trying to live through each other's lives, just for one day. And in this version, both the book and the movie, Anna is 13 years old, and the tone is overall a lot younger than most of the other versions we've seen of that story. It's very slapstick and silly, but also still gets into the whole empathy and generational gap between mother and daughter the story is known for.
I feel you're giving it too much credit by saying it gets into empathy, but okay.
Eli, that is the whole point of a body-switching trope. Just in this case, Freaky Friday is always about a mother and a daughter swap.
Pretty sure the point is to laugh at the actors, but you're the expert, I guess.
After the 1970s book and movie, Freaky Friday got readapted into the 1995 TV movie, which is largely ignored when people talk about all the Freaky Friday adaptations because it was a TV movie. But if you look at it, it does sort of serve a bridge that leads into the next one. It's the first time we see the story of the mother dating and thinking about getting remarried. In the original, Mrs. Andrews was still married to Annabelle's father. In the 1990s version, Mrs. Andrews was dating and for the first time had a job of her own outside of the house. It also clearly shows Anna hating the guy she was dating, making that a pretty familiar conflict we'll see again.
It should come with a hatchet.
That leads into 2003 Freaky Friday with Jamie Lee Curtis and Lindsay Lohan, the reason why most of us are here. That is, for a lot of us, the definitive version of the story, and it is forever iconic. One of my top teen movies of all time, hands down, and one of the movies I quote endlessly.
I can verify that, yes. So many times.
Was it perfect? No, it was early 2000s. And it had a pretty obvious, awkward, bordering on racist depiction of its Chinese characters who caused the body switch. Even though they are also endearing and hysterical in the movie, I'm not even sure how they could have handled that better and still somehow kept them in the story. But yeah, it's not great. And the whole thing with Jake being interested in Anna and her mother's body got weird. It just did. But that doesn't mean we can't still love this movie.
Some of us more than others.
Don't be a fun sucker, Eli. I love Pink Slip, I love Teen Anna, I love Jamie Lee Curtis' exaggerated animated acting. She was told to pull back, and she didn't. That's legendary. It makes the movie timeless and hysterical. In 2018, Disney tried to replicate that magic. Only this time, they made it a musical. Based on the original author's Broadway musical past, that should have been a great idea. But honestly, this one fell flat. I mean, it exists. The songs, for the most part, aren't anything special. The characters aren't well fleshed out. Except maybe Little Brother. I could probably defend this movie just with how much more attention they gave him than usual. Otherwise, barely worth checking out.
Okay, that one, can we agree, was genuinely terrible? There is an entire song dedicated to the mother in the daughter's body, having a crush on the teenage classmate. Disney, what were you thinking?
Honestly, at this point, I mostly think of the 2018 version as, hey, they tried. And it reminds me of how much I love the 2003 version. That you just can't replicate without the right cast and energy.
Well, that's one way to put it.
To me, Freaky Friday was all about bridging generational gaps. 70s kids got one, 90s and 2000s kids got one. This one was going to be the Gen Z one, but it missed the mark. But maybe now, with Freakier Friday, all that is different? I'll get into that soon enough. So like most people, let's pretend 2018 Freaky Friday never happened. And get back to Jamie Lee Curtis and Lindsay Lohan in 2003's version.
Works for me.
There are plenty of good versions of the story, but theirs was lightning in a bottle. Probably one of the best and most well-known movies for each of them. For Lindsay, this movie was pivotal. She already had her big breakout hit in The Parent Trap, and a couple of TV movies, like Life Size and Get a Clue, not long after. But those were kids' movies. This was her first major movie as a teen lead, and in a lot of ways, really set her up for being the teen icon for a minute there, with Confessions of a Teenage Drama Queen, and of course, Mean Girls the next year. Freaky Friday was the movie that proved that she had range, funny and vulnerable.
Working on Freaky Friday, which is a Disney feature with Jamie Lee Curtis.
And then there's Jamie Lee Curtis. By 2003, she was already Hollywood royalty, the original Scream Queen from Halloween, the star of comedies like Trading Places. But her role in Freaky Friday was something completely different. Watching Curtis transform into a teenage girl stuck in her mother's body is a masterclass of physical comedy. Exaggerated yet believable, full of wild energy, but never losing the heart. Many people forget that she wasn't even the first choice for the role. Annette Bening was originally cast and dropped out 6 days before filming. But Curtis made it her own, so completely that it's impossible to imagine anyone else playing Tess.
She also thought she'd never be the main lead role again, since she was in her mid-40s at the time. She fully expected to slowly fade into irrelevance by then, until this movie happened. So, I give her credit for that. It resurrected the Scream Queen into a comedy icon.
Yeah, now you're getting into it, Eli. The chemistry between Curtis and Lohan is what makes the film so memorable. And it's not just funny, it feels real. That bond never really went away. Over the years, they stayed in touch, cheered each other on, and even reunited red carpets. Jamie has called Lindsay her movie daughter more than once, And Lindsay has said that Jamie is one of the most supportive figures in her life during her ups and downs in Hollywood. Which is why, when Disney announced a sequel more than 2 decades later, fans weren't just excited about the story, they were thrilled about the reunion. Freaky Friday wasn't just cashing in on nostalgia, it's tapping into the real friendship of these two women, who are at very different places in their lives now than they were in 2003, but whose chemistry hasn't dimmed a bit. Curtis herself pushed Disney for years to make this happen, and Lindsay's return to the spotlight after a long break and a few recent streaming projects makes it feel like a perfect full circle moment.
Or yet another cash grab remake/sequel from Disney.
Well, let's not judge it too harshly just yet. I have a lot of notes on this.
Of course you do.
Again, I am a die-hard Freaky Friday fan. Just about every version, except maybe the 2018 version, but I have seen it multiple times though. And I'm a pretty big fan of Jamie Lee Curtis and Lindsay Lohan back in the day. This movie is in so many ways specifically targeting me.
I cannot argue with that. You are the exact sucker they are shooting for.
So the question is, if you're here mostly for my opinion on the movie, did I like it?
Oh, I'm sure they're waiting with bated breath to find out the answer to that very serious question.
Eli, you are really pushing your luck today. Don't make me do something you'll regret. Frankly, it'll be very funny, and I have no problem doing it.
Oh, please, what are you gonna do? Use a spell to make me stop talking?
No, that wouldn't be as funny. I have other plans. But anyway, back to the sequel. Was it worth waiting over 20 years just to get this? I've changed my mind about this multiple times. I think I have an answer. Ultimately, the movie isn't perfect. As a writer, Eli, don't start. As a writer, I probably would have made several different choices. The decision to have 4 people switching bodies at once made the story a little too messy. And some jokes landed so flat for me that I caught myself crossing my arms and rolling my eyes, basically channeling my inner teenager. But not in the way the movie intended.
See? You didn't like it that much then. How am I wrong?
I do wish there had been more focus on the younger characters. So much of the attention goes on to Lindsay Lohan and Jamie Lee Curtis in this movie, which is great and they're fantastic in it, but they didn't leave much for the younger actors to do, or for their plot lines. It's not as iconic as 2003's original, and I probably can't start quoting this one randomly in my daily life the same way as I do with the original. Mark Waters must have had something to do with the quotability because he also directed Mean Girls.
It's like I have ESPN or something.
But at the same time, this movie is genuinely a lot of fun. It's campy and over the top, which we learned from the original is where Jamie Lee Curtis really gets to shine. It's silly and messy, with so much going on that you never have time to get bored. Characters have genuine conflicts. You can probably connect to at least someone on some level. And ultimately, the story does boil down to the daughter and mother understanding each other better by the end. For 2 generations, if not 3. With a few extra things on top. This one even included a pair of stepsisters, basically becoming sisters, which I think is a great idea to throw in. One of the biggest joys was seeing Lindsay back on screen, not just acting, but singing. It felt like a callback to both Freaky Friday, 2003, and Confessions of a Teenage Drama Queen. You can feel her love for the role. And then there's Jamie Lee Curtis. She wanted this reunion for so long, not as some cynical cash grab, but because she genuinely wanted to revisit these characters and have fun with Lindsay again. Watching them share that energy on screen was really special. That's part of why this remake feels different. Sure, money was obviously a factor.
Yes, exactly, thank you.
It always is. But this wasn't only made for money. The love was there. You could see it in the returning cast and the new creative team. People grew up on the 2003 version and finally got their hands in the franchise. Not every remake is hollow. Sometimes, when the right people are involved, and they really do care, they're fueled by real affection for the story. And it matters. But overall, I had a good time. The movie is silly, chaotic, and yes, it could have used some tightening up here and there, but it managed to bring back the fun of the first movie without just rehashing the same story beat for beat. And for a sequel, that's impressive. So why does Freaky Friday work so well? Not just in 2025, but every time it gets remade, most of the time. It's because at its heart, it's what's known as a high-concept comedy. It's a fancy Hollywood way of saying, you make a simple, instantly understandable premise.
I wish that for only one day, Dad couldn't tell a lie.
I can't lie!
In this case, 2 people swapping bodies. And let the chaos, the heart, and the humor flow from there. Back in the late 80s through early 2000s, high-concept comedies were everywhere. Movies like Big,
I wish I were big.
13 and Going on 30, Liar Liar, and of course Disney's own The Parent Trap, all thrived on the same formula. Simple premise, maximum comedic payoff. These films weren't about massive budgets or cinematic universes. They were about putting actors in a wild, heightened situation and letting the performances carry the story.
Sounds like lazy writing to me.
Don't forget my warning, Eli. It seriously would be fun for me and a punishment for you.
Yeah, Miss All-Powerful Art Witch, I get it.
So yeah, that's exactly why Freaky Friday endures. Every time it's remade, it doesn't just recycle the plot. It reflects the relationship between moms and daughters in that specific era. The 1976 version, written by Mary Rodgers herself, had the sharpness of her musical theater wit, and the generational humor of its time. The 2003 movie, it was Gen X mom versus Millennial daughter, which hit perfectly for early 2000s culture. And now, in 2025, we've got Millennial mom versus Gen Z daughter, which brings a whole new set of generational clashes, from tech habits to slang. And honestly, part of the reason this feels so fresh right now is because Hollywood has gotten so stuck in giant IP franchises. For years, it's been nothing but superheroes, cinematic universes, and endless reboots.
This is a reboot, though.
By contrast, a movie like Freaky Friday feels refreshingly small, but in the best way. It doesn't need explosions or multiverses to feel big. The big is the emotions, the laughs, the empathy, and literal stepping into someone else's shoes. That's why Freaky Friday works in every era. The details change, fashion, slang, even the soundtrack, but the heart of the comedy stays the same. Empathy, walking a mile in someone else's shoes. Speaking of which,
Wait, what are you doing?
Eli has just volunteered to do exactly that with me. So catch us in the next video where we'll be talking about the body switch trope as a whole.
What did you just do? No, undo it. I am not okay with this.
And since we're switching roles for this one, Eli will of course be doing the research, writing up the script, and doing most of the editing.
There is no way I'm agreeing to any of this. I'm not doing any of that, no.
And if he behaves, then I might just switch us back in the next video.
Next video? You're going to leave us stuck like this until I...
That's right, Eli. You might want to get started on that. And then I can show up and heckle you while you record the video, since that's usually your job, right? I think this will be a lot of fun and educational for everyone.
Okay, I'm serious. Please come to the next video so she doesn't leave us stuck like this. And if you don't, just remember me as I was.
Bye, guys.
I cannot be serious. I'm not doing that. No, this is what I can't. Why would you do this? Oh, I don't understand. Lexi, this isn't fair. I'm doing it. Why would you do it? I wouldn't be that annoying. Come on. No.